Going to try to keep this short and sweet. I'm still getting text messages and it's making me more upset to read them. I went to a birthday party for Annie, my sister, who is 34 years old. I, a 36-year-old man, and my wife, a 36-year-old woman, went as we were able to get our son, who is 16 months old, watched by her parents. It was a normal adult birthday party as Annie has no kids. She had some of her friends over and our parents. I'm white, and all of my family members are also white, which is important for the story. My wife is Chinese, was born in China, and became a US citizen when she and her family moved to the US when she was 16. She's 100% a US citizen with no green card, and she and all of her family speak Mandarin. My wife can speak English very well, but her family, mostly elders, don't speak a lick of it. I've been learning Mandarin as it's my wife's cultural language. It's cool AF, and I want our son and future children to be able to speak both of our languages. It's been about 2.5 years, and I'm not very conversational yet, but I pick up on a lot of things, can understand the basic gist of most conversations, and I can speak basic sentences like, "Is the food hot?" or "Has the boy's diaper been changed?" etc. I've also been learning how to read and write Mandarin, mostly reading right now as I find it helps me learn better, and I sometimes drop cool sentences into the family chat on Facebook. Annie doesn't speak very much in it, but will post Fox articles, usually articles about China that are very critical of the government. I'm not sure if she's discriminatory against Chinese people. She's never said anything negative to my wife in any way. So, last night we're at the dinner table when Annie hands me a slip of paper. I ask what this is as I unwrap it. It says, Tiananmen Square 1989. And I look up at her, and she has this dumb grin on her face. I ask her what this is, and she goes, "Can you translate that into Mandarin?" This is where people seem to think I'm the jerk. I got really freaking mad. I immediately started yelling, called her a discriminatory, and said we were leaving. My mum and dad got mad. Annie said I was being dramatic, and her friends, all of whom are also white, didn't see what the big deal was. I basically told everybody off using very big adult words before leaving. My phone started blowing up with text messages saying, "You're not even Chinese, what the hell?" and "You ruined her birthday party." I briefly spoke to my mum this morning, where I tried to explain why what she did was discriminatory, targeted towards me and my family, and is unacceptable behaviour. I told my mum that I won't be going to the house anymore if she's there and that she needs help. My mum softly echoed what my sister said. With all these text messages, I'm not sure anymore if I overreacted. My wife was unaffected by the whole thing, but understands why I'd be upset. I don't know. Am I the jerk for reacting this way? Edit. When asked why her response was to shrug and say, "I was just curious." Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I had to look up the Tiananmen Square 1989 as that is something I didn't learn about, and I am absolutely disgusted by your sister. She is blatantly and passive-aggressively being discriminatory, and the fact that she would ask you to basically translate about a massacre. What is with her? Her friends siding with her isn't a shocker. They probably are discriminatory too. Your parents, on the other hand, by taking her side, agree that her behaviour is acceptable. I would honestly distance myself from all of them. Imagine them saying discriminatory or prejudiced things to or around your child. So, not the idiot op. Comment 2. Not the idiot, and you did not overreact. Annie is playing discriminatory games, and doing it with the shit-eating who-me grin of so many discriminatory dipshits. Unless your wife is secretly a member of the Chinese government, it is absurd to think that writing that down and giving it to you for translation into Mandarin is anything other than a provocation. Good for you for telling her off. You set an acceptable boundary, and she will at least think twice about subversively insulting your wife and family. Comment 3. Not the idiot. What the frick was even her point in giving you that paper and asking you to speak it out loud? Did she think your wife, whose family had a reason to leave their country and come to the USA, would be slighted by it? This isn't even a microaggression. This is a macroaggression, and I applaud you for standing by your wife and future children. They will have to face this same ignorance from your family when they get older. Now for the update. A month has passed and the tension has only escalated. Last week it was my son's birthday. Naturally, we invited my sister Annie, hoping that she'd be on her best behaviour, but that didn't quite happen. We had a pin the tail on the donkey game, and all was going well until it was Annie's turn. She strutted forward, donned the blindfold, and, as we all chuckled at her stumbling around, she somehow made a beeline for the world map we have on the living room wall. She stuck the donkey tail on China. The room went silent. My wife glanced at me, confusion and hurt etched on her face. Annie took off her blindfold and laughed, saying it was just a joke. I confronted her again about her ignorance and insensitivity, but she just shrugged it off and said I was overreacting again. Later on, the birthday cake arrived. My wife had spent hours baking a traditional Chinese cake. When Annie saw it, she scoffed, questioning why we couldn't have a normal American cake. I was truly appalled. My wife looked on the verge of tears. It became exceedingly clear that Annie was not only disrespectful, but also stubbornly unapologetic about her blatant racism. The aftermath was even more intense. I received numerous messages from family members labeling me as oversensitive. They were more concerned about the drama rather than addressing the racism that was so obviously presented. This time I didn't question myself. I knew I wasn't overreacting. I tried to explain this to my mum once more, but she just sighed and said, "Annie has always been like this, you know how she is." I was left in disbelief. How could my own family be so dismissive about such a serious issue? The whole incident has put a strain on my relationship with my family. My wife and I are considering our participation in future family events. It's clear something needs to change, but the willingness to change seems absent in those who need it the most. Now for the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. It seems like your sister Annie is being blatantly disrespectful to your wife's culture and heritage. This is not a case of oversensitivity, but of disrespect and racism. By sticking the tail on China during the donkey game and criticizing your wife's traditional Chinese cake, she's not only belittling her heritage but also making a mockery of it. It's not okay for anyone to treat someone's culture like a joke. You've done the right thing by confronting Annie. It shows you respect and value your wife's feelings and her cultural background. You're not being oversensitive, you're standing up against racism and ignorance. Comment 2. Not the idiot. It's incredibly concerning that your family is more interested in avoiding drama than addressing the blatant racism exhibited by Annie. It's essential to have these difficult conversations in order to grow and learn as a family. If they're unwilling to address the issue, it might be a good idea to consider whether you want to continue exposing your wife and children to such toxic behavior. You and your wife's feelings are valid, and it's important that you prioritize your mental and emotional well-being, even if that means distancing yourselves from the family. Comment 3. Not the idiot. It's disheartening that your family is dismissing such a serious issue as an overreaction. Annie's actions were not only inappropriate, but they also perpetuate harmful stereotypes about people of Chinese descent. Racism, whether it's subtle or overt, should not be tolerated. It's not about being oversensitive, it's about calling out and addressing harmful behavior. It might be worth considering finding a way to have this conversation with your family in a setting where they can't dismiss it as easily. You deserve to feel safe and respected in your family environment, and it's clear that currently this is not the case. Now for the next story. I decided to post this with the help of my husband, who is unsure if my behavior was over the line. Here's what he thought was important for the sake of the story. My friend of about 17 years, Delilah, 37-year-old female, had a very problematic childhood. She barely went to school because her only parent was addicted to substances among many other problems. I don't know how she slipped through the system for so long, but she was pretty much a lost cause by high school because of how little discipline she had. At 23, her dad died, and due to the manner of death, Delilah won a somewhat large sum of money. Once she got that money, Delilah chose to go to a community college. I guess she learned to love learning and had so many interests she never knew about that she went to several schools in most of her 20s and came out with several degrees. So my view, I've held my tongue on her wasting so much money on school. I guess if it was my money, I'd want to save it or explore, then get a degree, not go head first. She has 6 degrees, and to me it's just silly. The real kicker is my husband is an engineer and makes more than she does, despite all her side jobs and projects. Well, we were visiting her and she mentioned how she wanted to study history and maybe take a class or 2 online for the fun of it. I laughed and asked if any of her inheritance was still even left. She said that shouldn't be my concern. I admitted it was ridiculous. She could have just bought a nice house with that money, instead of blowing it on degrees that she doesn't even use. She told me all her degrees served a purpose. She loves what she does now and loves learning because she was deprived of it as a child. She told me she wasn't going to defend herself to someone who did not grow up in a similar situation. My husband told her to calm down. After it is now awkward and I'm not sure if I need to apologize or not. Am I the idiot? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. You're the idiot. I don't know why you feel entitled to have a say on how she spends her money. It's her money. She could gamble on the stock market or blow it all in one glorious day at Dave and Amp Buster's, and it'd still be none of your business. Why did you even bring up your husband's degree and income he makes? Why is that a kicker? Just because you don't see the value in her degrees doesn't mean it's not there. She finds value in it. Therefore it has value. She's not using her degrees to get a job because she's pursuing other degrees still. She has the financial ability to do so, and it's absolutely none of your business. Do you even like this person? Is this a jealousy thing that she's pursuing multiple degrees and you're stuck in a job you dislike? Either apologize and make your peace with the fact that you don't get a say in anyone else's financial situations, or leave this girl alone because yours are not the actions of a friend. Comment 2. You're the idiot. You sound incredibly jealous. I wonder if all this hate and jealousy is stemming from the fact you didn't get to attend school after high school. You said your husband makes more money than her and not you. So my question is, are you making more money than her? It doesn't matter if she spends her money on drugs or spending it on nothing but shoes and electronics, because guess what? It's her money and she can do as she pleases with it. Also, she is a literal icon to me. I haven't been doing well in school much. Better than her by how you explained it, so Delilah, also my name but without the H, is giving me hope that I can still try and make it into school and my dream career. Comment 3. You're the idiot. Neglect is a very common form of child abuse. So you need to keep in mind you're judging someone from your own frame of reference who has lived a vastly different life than you have. She has 6 degrees, despite all her side jobs and projects. From your description, she might have ADHD. If so, that's another way in which her frame of reference and her decision-making process might be vastly different than yours. At 23, her dad was unalived. Well then, that's yet another way in which her lived experience is drastically different than yours. You have zero right to be judging her choices. I laughed and asked if any of her inheritance was still even left. Yup, you're the idiot. 100%. Now for the update. Well, here's the latest update on the Delilah situation. So she's gone and done it again, guys. Delilah's splurged her hard-earned, or should I say inherited money on yet another degree. This time it's a PhD in ancient civilizations. I mean, come on. How many degrees does one person need? Now she's in her 3rd month studying Sumerian clay tablets or something. I can't help but think she's just fascinated by the dust. Heck, even my husband, who's usually a diplomatic soul, looked flabbergasted. He asked her, "Delilah, aren't you tired of studying?" And she simply answered with a passionate, "No, there's so much to learn." Here's the kicker, though. Remember when I questioned if Delilah had any inheritance left? Turns out she's also been funding archaeological digs in Iraq using the remainder of her dad's fortune. She's risked everything on this harebrained endeavour. We asked her how the digs were going, and she just said, "We haven't found anything yet, but it's all part of the process." Oh, and get this. Delilah's now living in a tiny studio apartment where she sleeps, eats and studies. She had to downsize after her rent skyrocketed because she spent so much on her degrees and digs. She claims she loves the simplicity, but we all know the truth. The other day we visited her new place and she proudly showed us an old clay pot she found in a thrift shop, claiming it looked like a relic from one of the civilizations she's studying. My husband, bless him, humoured her and showed a polite interest. I can't help it, guys. It's concerning to see her throw her inheritance away like this. I miss the old grounded Delilah. But who am I to judge, right? After all, it's her money, her life. But something tells me this won't end well. Now for the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. Delilah clearly has a passion and a purpose in her life, and it's not our place to judge what she does with her resources. Yes, it may seem like she's recklessly spending her father's fortune, but if she's using it to fund archaeological digs and further her education, that's her prerogative. It's important to remember that value isn't always monetary. Delilah seems to find immense value and joy in her studies and in the hope of discovering something significant from the past. Her choice to live in a smaller apartment may seem like a downgrade to some, but to her it might be a symbol of a clutter-free, focused lifestyle. It's a personal choice. Comment 2. Everyone sucks here. While Delilah has every right to pursue her passions and spend her money as she sees fit, it seems like she's become somewhat disconnected from her friends and family in the process. It's important to maintain a balance in life. While her dedication to her studies and the digs is admirable, it's also important to keep in touch with loved ones and consider their feelings. On the other hand, her friends and family need to respect Delilah's choices and passions, even if they don't fully understand them. They should try to show more support for her interests instead of just wishing for the old Delilah back. Comment 3. You're the idiot. But not for the reasons you may think. As someone who's passionate about her studies and dedicated to her field, Delilah is absolutely not the jerk for pursuing what she loves. However, it's important to consider that she might be unintentionally fostering an unhealthy obsession. It's not about the money, but rather the potential negative impact on her mental and social well-being. It's crucial to maintain a healthy work-life balance, and it seems like Delilah might be neglecting this aspect. Pursuing her passion shouldn't come at the cost of her relationships or her personal life. It's important for her to realize that she can still be passionate about her studies while also maintaining a balanced lifestyle. Now for the next story. My sister has always insisted that I was doing my parrot Albert a disservice by feeding him vegetables since there's so much chemical fertilizers and pesticides around these days. The first time this happened, I told her that I buy organic vegetables and wash them before feeding him, and that he needs them for nutrients since the seeds do not contain enough. She scoffed, telling me that her parrot Jenny eats only birdseed and is perfectly healthy. Enter my sister's new boyfriend, a vet. He was horrified to learn about her bird's diet and lectured her. When she whined about it over dinner that day, I muttered, "Told you so." Our mum said I could be a bit more sympathetic since my sister really didn't know any better. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Our mum said I could be a bit more sympathetic since my sister really didn't know any better. Once you told her she did know better, but chose to be willfully ignorant and not even check if what you told her was correct or not. What is there to be sympathetic about? Not the idiot. I feel sorry for the bird. Comment 2. Fellow parrot owner here. Absolutely not the idiot. Parrots need a varied diet of mostly organic veggies, grains, small amounts of fruit, and maybe some high-quality pellets. Seeds are treats only. Your sister is significantly shortening the lifespan of her bird. Comment 3. Not the idiot. Typically, the "told you so" comment is unnecessary, as they already know and are thinking about the fact that you were right, but her whining about it made it justified because you did try to warn her. Now for the update. So the chaos continues. After the initial birdseed versus veggie feud, my sister decided to expand her parrot's diet, probably from the embarrassment her vet boyfriend caused. Instead of researching about suitable food, she started feeding the bird fast food leftovers, thinking it's a good way to introduce human food. Nachos, fries, leftover burgers. The poor thing had a crazy mix of delicacies on its plate. When the parrot started showing signs of lethargy, my sister rushed it to the vet, her boyfriend, who, by the way, was not impressed at all. He diagnosed the parrot with high cholesterol and a tummy upset from the junk food. The whole thing was a disaster. I've never seen my sister look so guilty. Meanwhile, my parrot was thriving on its vegetable diet, all shiny feathers and energetic chirping. It seemed like a superior being in comparison to my sister's parrot, who was now on a strict diet and medication. The vet boyfriend was clearly irritated with my sister's ignorance and accused her of unintentionally harming her pet. In an ironic turn of events, my mother started to criticize my sister's carelessness and asked her to learn from me. She even suggested her to feed the parrot organic veggies, a notion she had previously dismissed as excessive. My sister, ego-injured but genuinely concerned for her parrot, started to reluctantly follow my way of feeding. Then came the ridiculous part. She started claiming that the vegetables my parrot ate were tainted, and I should get a vegetable purity test done. I was baffled. Meanwhile, she was buying overpriced parrot-approved organic vegetables from a fancy pet store. I couldn't help but laugh at the whole situation. The vet boyfriend and I have been unofficially teaming up against her ridiculous notions. It's become a weird bonding experience. He even mentioned that my method of feeding was ideal, and he wishes more bird owners were as cautious. So, for now, it's a strange piece, with my sister grudgingly admitting the benefits of vegetables and me trying not to rub it in too much. I'm just glad the parrots are getting proper nutrition now. Now for the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. It's clear you have the best interest of your parrot at heart, and we're only trying to ensure your sister's parrot received the same level of care. Pets are not toys or accessories. They require proper nutrition and care to live long, healthy lives. Your sister's initial decision to feed her parrot fast food leftovers was not only neglectful, but dangerous. A parrot's diet should consist of a variety of fresh fruits and vegetables, whole grains, and a small amount of seeds and nuts. Fast food could lead to obesity, heart disease, and other serious health issues. Your mother was right to criticize your sister's carelessness, but it's also important that she support your sister in learning to care for her pet properly. It's great that your sister has started to follow your feeding methods, and the approval of your vet boyfriend only validates the care you've been providing your parrot. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Pet ownership comes with responsibility, and it's clear that your sister was initially not taking this seriously. You did the right thing by intervening and guiding her towards a healthier diet for her parrot. It's commendable that you didn't let sibling rivalry or petty arguments come in the way of ensuring the well-being of the parrot. Your sister's reluctance to follow your advice at first is a classic example of ego coming in the way of learning. But it's heartening to see her eventually following your advice, showing maturity and concern for her pet. The vet boyfriend's agreement with your method is an added bonus. Comment 3. Not the idiot. You were merely acting in the best interests of the parrots. It's not about the sibling rivalry, but about the health and well-being of the animals involved. Your sister's initial reluctance and carelessness was unfortunate, but it's good to see that she's taking steps towards changing her ways. The fact that your vet boyfriend agrees with your feeding method is a significant validation of your practices. However, it's important to remember that caring for parrots is not just about feeding them right. It's about understanding their needs, providing them with enough mental stimulation, and ensuring they live in a safe and comfortable environment. The strange peace between the siblings is likely due to the shared understanding and responsibility towards the parrots. Continue this way and continue to educate each other on the best practices of pet care. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.